Edward from Direct Fabrics. Today we're going to be talking about a solution for these windows. We've got a pair of windows, if you can pan around to this one. Obviously whatever we do on one, we're going to do on the other. This is for demonstration purposes. We've got two different Venetian blinds because we use it just for trialling products. What we're looking at today is eyelet curtains. So eyelet curtains, as an example, we have a 44mm eyelet, either silver, brass or black with ourselves, and they give a nice modern finish and they pleat very well back. So what we're going to do, so if you come back over here and we can run through how I would dress this window. So initially what I would do is take a recess measurement. What we mean by recess is the internal size, so up to the top of the window to the windowsill and across. Just a quick way of how I do that, I'll just put my steel tape measure in, and then I'll go across the window, and then I'm at 126 centimetres. This may run out very slightly across the window. In most of these buildings, they're never true. So I'd always recommend measure 3 places, particularly with blinds, but more so when we're looking at curtains, we have a little bit of tolerance, and I'll explain how we bring tolerance into the window. So the first rule of curtain fitting, a nice little easy reminder, is the rule of 15 centimetres. It normally, with most windows, and I'll tell you the exceptions later, allows you to dress a window. So as an example here, if we're looking at the height of the top piece above the reveal, we're at 32. So 15 is approximately halfway. There's a nice simple introduction to the window. And again, 15 centimetres past, we're going to be just past here, and the stack of the curtains is going to come off the window. So when we're working with curtains, we're using, depending how wide the window is, we're going to use different widths of material. So most curtaining materials are between 135 and 150 centimetres. So if you were dressing this window, let's just say we added on 15 each side, easy numbers, for round numbers, let's just say 150, we would use 2 widths of material. So it's double the width of the track that we're going to put up, or the pole, and that will allow it to stack and have a nice pleat throughout, and when drawn away from the window, it's going to stack to the edge. Yep. So when we're looking at what product to fit, obviously you can go totally bespoke made to measure, which is what we like to do, fully made to measure curtains made in our British workroom, and get you the perfect finish. And our team, the website itself will calculate so you have double fullness rounded up to the nearest width, or in some wider width fabrics it'll be exactly right. But in this example, you're working with products to fit the window. So our standard 28mm curtain poles, contract quality, come in 2 metre lengths is how we like to sell them, so you can cut down to fit accordingly. They also come in a 150 length. And that makes sense with something like this window, because we're at 125, the rule of 15, which dictates how far past we can go. We're at 125 is 25 centimetres. So we're at 12.5 each side, but in this instance, with the eyelet being chosen, we know approximately with an eyelet, again, a little bit of tolerance in here, but there are, on each pleat there is 2 eyelets, and when these stack back, you're going to be at approximately 1 centimetre. So if we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 eyelets inside of this single 150 curtain, we know if you come in there that the stack is going to fit perfectly on the right hand side, and actually we can come to the edge of the reveal there. So 12.5 centimetres is going to be absolutely fine. Moving forward into how the pole itself will look, nice standard 28mm pole. If I put that across, roughly there, you've got a nice dressing effect to the window. You could go bigger if, for whatever reason, you had a different pole or you wanted a different effect. Obviously, when you're fixing your pole on, we use our decorative brackets. So really straightforward fixing, multiple fixing points on the back. You don't have to use them all. We recommend 3. And then this simply screws on and gives you that nice finish and hides the back plate, hides the curtain bracket as such. Once that goes into place, as I've come up the edge of the window, my 15, again, use your level, and then I've just marked my 15 centimetres here, and then this particular spacing is 7 centimetres from the edge of the window but 5 centimetres back, and that's allowing for the bracketry and a gap and then the end cap. There's a little bit of tolerance in there, and you'll get to see that in a moment. Moving back onto equipment that we like to use when we're fitting, just to get a really good fix and to make sure we've done it professionally. I use a DeWalt cordless driver, decent battery on there, an impact driver. The packs of plugs, if you're buying your poles from us, 9 times out of 10 we don't supply fixings, and the reason is we don't know what your substrate is. So in this instance, we know it's masonry, so we're using a masonry bit, and we're going in with a red raw plug Uno. These are both for plasterboard fixing and also for masonry fixing. They're a really solid fix. We don't have an issue with these. So I'd always recommend buying good plugs and fixings, not what is supplied in traditional retail boxes that you might get from a department store. They're not robust enough. Hammer or mallet just to tap your wall plugs in. And then obviously the bracketry, a steel tape measure, and then I always have a couple of different levels, just depending how wide we're working. Again, it just makes life a little bit easier, starting and not having to move along as much. And obviously, if preferable, a second pair of hands is always advised. Okay. The next step I want to show you is how you get a true level on your window. And it may appear very simple, but little movements of when you're leveling something off make a big difference, especially on longer spans. You'll notice millimeters as you go. So there's two methods. There's the traditional method of using a level. So I marked earlier 15 centimeters above, and what I'd suggest you do is get a nice long level, or you can, if you're working with a small one, it's going to be harder. I find my mark of 15, and I've already done these obviously, but then I'm finding my bubble in the middle, and then I'm marking again from the outside up to my mark that I've done, so I know where the edge of the window is, and from there I can work. But let me show you an easier way, and this is a more modern approach. So if we have a look up here, I've got a telescopic extender, and then I've got a laser level, and this laser level just makes life so much easier. And look at that there, if you come through with these recording lights on, it just takes the edge off the strength of the laser. But I've got my laser line running right the way through, if I squeeze past you, all the way through to the other window. And I can assure you this ceiling is like a wave. It's all over the shop. I don't know who did it, but if you're going to make sure that your line of your rails is true, you're not leveling to the ceiling. In this instance, particularly not, it runs out 10 mil across it, so you'd be on the wonk. And then also this window reveal is out by 10 mil, so it's all over the place. We know the central point is the central point, and we've picked one, and then we're running the line straight through. We have to do that, otherwise, if this was 20 mil above that one, even though they're supposed to be in line, we're going to be 20 mil above, aren't we? So your universal line will be the two rails. Fitting now, I've got my back plate, which you can see here, nice and straightforward. I've already marked on the 5 centimeters in here to allow us to have the end cap, a gap, and the edge of the bracket. Where we start to begin with, if I go into I do this one first as an example, and if you come in and stand over my shoulder, what you can see is my dot that I've marked on is dead on the laser line. Surprisingly that the laser is dead on, and then I'm just going to mark my other two in there, and I'm going to work my way along the other 3 brackets and just get in a position that we can do that all the way along. I like to do it all at once because it's just a bit more efficient, and then I'll start to drill these and show you how that all looks as well. So now we're looking at getting everything drilled. I've got a couple of little tricks to show you. So we're using a masonry drill bit, 6 mil, and I'm using the depth of the red raw plug Unos with a nice solid Phillips head screw. When I come up here, I just get an envelope, a little bit of tape just to hold it to try and catch the dust. If you've got a second hand, you can have the hoover here just with the hoover head. When I'm coming in on my first first drill point, I just give it a little rub just to get a bit of friction. And then I've set it on hammer mode, but what I'll show you how we get it. So if you look there, I've gone through the plaster initially. Again, depends if you're on dot and dab or how deep that is. You might have enough depth. They're a plasterboard fixing. They'll do 30 kilos per fixing. So that might be enough. You could just slot straight in. In this instance, we're nowhere near deep enough. So I'm going to carry on. I've got my hammer drill action on. And then we're at the right depth. So what we now do is take a plug, we go in, and it's as simple as that. The first one, I'm going to do another, again using the masonry bit. Just do a little rub just to get a bit of friction so it grabs. I'm not rushing, I'm not over stressing the drill, I'm just letting it do its work. If I get a fixing, we just go straight in. And that's nice and flush. You could, if you needed to, just get your mallets, give it a little tap, to make sure they're fully in. I'll finish off drilling all these and then we'll fix in. Another option is if you're struggling a little bit with your standard combi drill, you could use an SDS if it's a little bit quicker. Drilled the 12 drill holes. If you have a quick look across, everything's gone in. A couple of them were a little bit tougher than others, getting a bit of purchase up there. Probably should have used my SDS drill just to make life easier. But again, most people probably own a combi drill. So coming up now, I've got my impact driver, or you could hand screw. I like to just get these in, nice and straightforward, nice and steady. And we're lined up perfectly there. I've already laid out my screws and my plugs are already in, and I'm just going to nip these in and just make sure we're nice and firm in. Done. Really straightforward, and I can feel as it's going in, I can feel it binding to the wall. We've got a great fix. We're not holding the 4th row bridge on there or anything, so I'm sure it'll be fine. The bracketry, now that we've got that, I'm going to put the face cover on. Nice and straightforward over the front, and then I'm just going to whiz those on. Just rotates round, and we're there. Done. There's some adjustment here that I can loosen this off. For instance, that's worked that it's ended up straight, but if it hadn't for whatever reason, I can loosen this and then turn the front part of the bracket to fit. That's the same with the 28mm or the 35mm. I'll pause now and I'll fit those up, and then we'll go on to the next phase. We've finished this installation. We had a pair of curtains in. We'll just whip these up quickly just to show you the example. We'll obviously make a pair for this. They're stacking back really well to the edge of the window. The stud end cap there is looking really smart. These are out of the bag straight up. And as you can see, the eyelet effect, it just looks perfectly straight through, drapes really well. That's an unlined, if you come in and have a look for me, that's one of our best sellers, Iris, and that's an unlined blackout curtain with a white backing. So what that's going to do is reflect any heat in summer back out of the window. It's lightweight, it's cost effective, and its texture looks fantastic. We do a lot of hotel work with it. If we draw these across, you can see the fullness there. We've got two widths, roughly 150 centimetres. Obviously we've got hems on there so we lose a little bit, but we've got nice deep pleats running uniformly through the curtain. It's the right amount of fullness. If we went slightly bigger on the pole, technically you would go for an extra half a width and have a join running through. So you might end up with what we call more fullness, so it'll be in this position. As you can see, it looks fantastic. Even if it's slightly over full, even if it was 3 times fullness, it would still look exceptionally good. And historically, 30, 40 years ago, you put 3 times fullness in a curtain, it gets less and less. But what I can show you again is, if you were having a less full curtain, or you'd committed the sin of buying ready-made curtains, you would end up potentially with a less full curtain. So even there, the 150, it's pretty close to covering the whole way over. So depending on what your setup is and budgets allows, I totally understand. In commercial environments where we're working, we have to do flame retardant furnishings, and that's what we specialise in. So we work 2 times as a standard rounded to the nearest width, and you get a lovely hotel finish. These are 3-pass blackout, so they're totally blackout through the material. Let me see if I can turn these lights off. And you can see there. However, to note, a little bit of information for you. You're getting light seepage across the top, and then you're getting light seepage down the side and underneath. We could have avoided that potentially by going slightly higher with the pole, but you'll always get some seepage above and then below unless you go floor length. That's why we recommend using 2 applications. If you have any questions, please contact the team. It's been a nice experience fitting these. Everything's gone very smoothly. If you need any assistance, we do offer check measuring and nationwide installation on bigger contracts. Please get in touch with the team. Thank you.